A point of measure, also known as POMs in apparel production, are the specific measurements used to determine the consistency and the fit of a garment. You can measure something with this POM tool. You can also toggle over to your POM panel in the object browser. And if you've graded your pattern as we have, you will automatically generate these measurements in all of your sizes. To explain this panel better, let's measure something with our POM tool. Let's first take a look at our grading reference sheets here to figure out which POMs we will need for our garment. On our shell pattern piece, we'll do center front. Select the center point of your neckline with your POM tool, hold Shift, and hover down to the center point of the crotch line. Double-click to complete the action, and there it is, your automatically generated POM. Each POM will be numbered, and you can change the description to reflect whatever specs are necessary for your garment. One thing you will need to know, however, is that your POM tool only exists in the 2D window. So if your intention is to obtain a 3D measurement, you will see the line on your avatar and a 3D value will appear in your property editor. But the number recorded in your spec sheet will be the 2D value. Let's try this again and take our front length from HPS, which in apparel lingo stands for a high point shoulder, a standard reference point when measuring a garment. Okay, now that you got the gist of that, let's move a little faster to get our suit measured. For our curved lines, like your leg openings and necklines, you will have to return to the Edit Pattern tool to obtain a measurement. With Edit Pattern, select your line, then Control plus right click. You can select Traces Point of Measure. The 3D value will appear in your property editor, and a new 2D value will now populate to your spec sheet. You can always change these specification measurements as you go by double-clicking on them. If you want to measure something like a circumference or a rise, be sure to rearrange your patterns so that they are properly aligned in order to avoid overlap with the POM tool. With that in mind, you can select across multiple pattern pieces in order to measure them, double-clicking once you've selected the last point. For more complicated measurements like a front neck drop or armhole drop, what you might need to do is use the same traces POM technique to get the measurement. Then select your new POM with your Edit POM tool and open your Options menu. There you will find several options, one of which allows you to measure along the X and Y axis. In this case, your armhole drop will be your X-axis measurement. Last up are your cups. I'll just get simple height and width dimensions for those, and that is it. You now have a completely measured garment in CLO.